Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. He sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was asked about prayer on his ship. So he said, pray on his standing unless you are afraid of drowning. When he grew old, he took a support at his place of prayer to lean on.
Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala Rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa mawala. Tonight is the 18th night of Jumada al-Akhirah. The year is 1440, and according to what you have just said, it is the 5th class in Sifat Salat al-Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we are on page Arabic-wise 79, As-Salatu fi Safina, praying on the ship. The prayer on the ship that he's talking about here is a boat. Already the boat is different from the ship, which is at the moment too big, and it's like solid ground. So the title is meant for the little boat that if you stand up in it, you might drown. That's the ship that we're talking about. It's not the ship that is, these days, it's like as solid as this masjid. And it's as huge as it could take planes and runways and all of that. So if the person is afraid to pray standing up because he might drop into the water and drown, then he could pray sitting down. But if he can pray standing up, he might not, or he may not pray sitting down. He has to pray standing up. And this title has been added to in the Talkhis al-Sifat. Talkhis. The Shaykh adds to it, As-Salatu fi Safinati wa fi Ta'ira, praying in the ship and the plane. And I believe we talked about praying in the plane last time. We said, praying in the plane, we say that it is for voluntary, no problem. For obligatory, then the case is that if you have time to pray a prayer on the ground, do not pray it on plane. If you didn't have the time to pray on board the plane, and you have to pray on board the plane, then it goes to the following. You ask the stewardess, do you have a place that could really what? Stand up and what? Face the Qibla. Like in Saudi Arabia airline, they've got a musalla inside. So you stand up and you know where the Qibla is. So you have to make your ijtihad. But if you simply prayed in the plane, where you have time to pray on the ground, and you remember deliberately had delayed it, then the prayer is in jeopardy. Or you have no time to pray on the ground, or you forgot, you are on the plane and you have to pray the prayer, and you did not make your homework, which is to ask to stand up, and you just simply sat down where you're able to stand up, your prayer is invalid. We're talking about obligatory prayer, not voluntary. Voluntary doesn't matter. Whether it's on the ground, or on the plane, or you're facing the Qibla, or facing the Qibla, because you're on board of the plane. And the plane is like a car, and the car is like a camel. So, you ask the stewardess where there is a place you can stand up. I am facing the Qibla. If you can't, then it is darurah. Then you pray sitting down, because you can't stand up, and you pray the way which is available for you, whether it is facing the Qibla or not. So, the pillar or the condition, we said, remember, facing the Qibla could be a pillar, could be a condition, regarding how you consider it. The pillar of facing the Qibla and the pillar of Qiyam drops only down if you were not able to do so. So you have to do it if you're able to do so, otherwise your prayer is invalid. Then he says, when the Prophet ﷺ got older, he took amud like a staff, like a post, like the leg of a table. So he took it in order to support himself, because he got old. Now, you could take a staff involuntary, regardless, whether you're in need of it or you're not in need of it. Involuntary, you're allowed to sit down. So you're allowed involuntary to stand up and take a support. And if you sit down in the voluntary, you're going to take what? Half of the reward of the what? Standing up. You remember we talked about it last time? Okay. So if you want to get the full reward with support, you could do so. What's the proof for that? We have the hadith, which was read by Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu in his reign of his khilafah, when he commanded Ubay ibn Ka'b radiallahu anhu to lead the people in Taraweeh prayer. And the companions, in the hadith it says, in Muwatta Imam Malik, وَكَانُوا يَعْتَمِدُونَ عَلَى الْعِصِيِّ مِنْ طُولِ الْقِيَامِ وَلَا يَنْصَرِفُونَ حَتَّى بُزُوغَ الْفَجْرِ. And they used to depend upon the stick until the Fajr, because the recitation was taking them all the way up to Fajr, and he will not depart the prayer and leave the prayer until about Fajr. So they were leaning and supporting themselves onto sticks. وَكَانُوا يَعْتَمِدُونَ عَلَى الْعِصِيِّ مِنْ طُولِ الْقِيَامِ. Because of the long recitation, the long stand up in the prayer, they used to support themselves onto the what? On the stick. Because he doesn't want to get the half of the reward. He wants to get the full reward. So with the stick, he stands up. What about the obligatory? The obligatory, you only take the staff when you are in need of it. But if you are not able to stand up, then you sit down. So they say that you are very ill. But if you are weak, but you're not very weak. You are ill, but not very ill. You are old, but not very old. You are fat, but not very fat. And you stand up, but with a bit of pain. And you want to take the staff, no problem. That's something even the Shafi'iyya say, but if the person is able to stand with a bit of pain, then he's not allowed to sit down. So you could take a staff. If he's able to stand with a little bit of pain, with the support with the staff, with a stick, then he's not allowed to sit down. And that's a very strong saying. Because Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he said, in the hadith which is in Sahih Imam Muslim, that وَكَانَ الرَّجُلُ يُؤْتَى بِهِ فَيُهَادَى بَيْنَ الرَّجُلَيْنِ حَتَّى يُقَامَ فِي الصَّفِّ. And the man was ill, used to be brought to the jama'ah. He doesn't want to miss the jama'ah, but he's ill, but his illness is not that much. And his illness, by the way, it's become right. Let's just go for what I said. So if the person is able to stand up with pain, according to Shafi'i, he's not allowed to sit down. And the proof for that, we said, that at the time of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, he says that the man was ill, but not that much ill. He comes to the jama'ah, and he would be put between two people in order to support him. That tells us two things. Number one, how close they were to each other. Not an acre land like some of the people. An acre land between him and his neighbor on both sides. It's like free shoulder, free feet. That's not the salah of jama'ah. You can pray at home if you wish. But if you want to pray jama'ah, jama'ah means what? In congregation. What's the congregation of you sitting, keeping away from me? What's the jama'ah? What is the whole of the jama'ah? Jama'ah to be what? Together. So me and you jama'ah like that? No. Me and you jama'ah when we are bodily stuck. And when we are bodily stuck, heart is stuck. Who said so? The Prophet was asking. So he used to be put between the shoulders in order to make him supported. So each one supporting one another. Fine. So we say you're not allowed to take a staff in your obligatory unless you are in need of it. And if you are capable of standing up with staff, then take the staff and don't sit down. Allahu Ta'ala A'lam. Now we go to following title. Now, Al-Qiyam wal-Qurud fi Salat al-Layl.
Sitting and standing in the night prayer, Tahajjud. He sallallahu alayhi wasallam used to pray long through the night standing and long through the night sitting. And if he recited standing, he would bow standing. And if he recited sitting, he would bow sitting. Sometimes he would pray sitting, so he would recite sitting until about 30 or 40 verses of his recitation while left. He would then stand up to recite this standing and then bow and prostrate. And he would do likewise in the second rak'ah.
Right, before I go to the following title, just to add to what we have said regarding before, it's not just the Shafi'iyya, the people, the scholars have said that the person who takes a staff, listen to this, without the necessity, in his faridah, and there's no need for that staff, and he took it, so that if you take the staff, he will fall, because depending upon it totally, then his prayer is invalid according to the Jumhur of Ahlul Ilm. Right, now what is the stand or the case of the Prophet ﷺ praying his night prayer? Qiyam. Now, Prophet of Allah, his Qiyam, he used to, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, according to Aisha radiallahu anha, pray long night, standing up, and sometimes sitting down. Now, sitting down, that was the case when the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam got up. She says, I've never seen the Prophet of Allah praying the night prayer, sitting down at all until he got older. And that hadith is in the Muwatta, which is authentic. So she did not see the Prophet ﷺ praying sitting down at all in the night prayer until he was old. But it doesn't mean that you only, when you are only old, you pray sitting down, because we said voluntary in general, you may sit if you are able to stand. So it is allowed for you to pray the night prayer and the voluntary, standing, sitting, even without an excuse. But if you've sat, you get half of the reward. And you're allowed to combine between the two, sitting and standing. But you have to remember that if pray sitting, then you make the ruku' while you are what? Sitting. And if you pray standing up, then you pray make the ruku' when you are what? Standing up. So it's depending upon the last portion of your Fatiha and recitation. What were you doing? Were you standing or were you sitting? This hadith that is mentioned just now, sometimes you'd pray sitting down, he would recite while he's sitting. If some of his recitation is left, like 30 or 40 ayah, he would stand up and recite, then he would make ruku' while he's standing, and then he would go to sujood. And he would do the same thing in the second rak'ah. But it shows us that the Prophet of Allah, sometimes he does this and he does that, according to his, we call it in Arabic, nashat, his activity, how active he is, how awake he is, how powerful he is, he would pray. So he could pray all the way sitting down, and all the way standing up, if he's capable and happy. And he could pray sitting, and then he stands on the last portion of his recitation. And that is in itself a refutation for those who say that it's a condition upon the person who starts his prayer sitting down, he must make ruku' sitting down. There's a fiqh saying, if you started your prayer sitting down, then you must continue in what? Sitting down. That's incorrect, because the hadith says otherwise. And they said if you started your prayer standing up, you have to stay standing up. No, Prophet of Allah, what he did, he prayed sitting down. Last 10 verses, it doesn't matter how many verses left. He would stand up and continue whatever is left from his recitation that he planned to recite. Then he would make his ruku' what? Standing. He would not sit again and make ruku'. And then Sami Allahu liman hamidah, standing. And after that he goes to sujood, of course, on the ground. Okay? So that's what the Prophet ﷺ used to do. So he would start sitting and then stand up in the last portion. Sometimes he would sit all the way. Sometimes he would stand all the way. Go ahead, please.
In fact, he prayed a subha sitting down towards the end of his life when he had grown old, and that was a year before his death. Also, he would sit cross-legged.
Cross-legged. Right. Subha, Fajr. He used to pray sitting down. That's because he was old, was not able to do his fard standing up. And that was a year before he died. Not only that, when he prays sitting down, he says he used to cross-legged. You know what's cross-legged? Like this boy here, cross-legged. Like some of you cross-legged. Yeah, they're cross-legged. Now, we said, I think, in some previous classes, when you are sitting down on the floor, the best of the way to sit is the way which is one of those that is mentioned in the prayer. You remember that we said? That if it is tawarruk, tawarruk. If you can't make tawarruk, iftirash, then tawarruk. Can't make tawarruk, then cross-legged. If you can't do cross-legged, then anything that you want. You could pray as well if you can't really cross your leg, just like that brother stretching his feet towards the qibla, because you can't sit except for that way. Salli kayfa mashit, if you're not able. But if you are able to sit, then make sure that you sit as close to the sunnah. So close to the sunnah, you could be cross-legged, you could be iftirash, you could be tawarruk. Which one is better? That's when the scholars differ. Allahu A'lam is depending upon the prayer. It says either tawarruk or iftirash is in the prayer. Or if you can't, then you make it cross-legged, as the Prophet ﷺ had done so in this hadith. Now after this, we're going to go to the following title.
Prayer, wearing shoes and the command to do so. He used to stand in prayer barefooted sometimes and wearing shoes sometimes. He allowed this for his ummah, saying, when one of you prays, he should wear his shoes or take them off and put them between his feet and not harm others with them. He encouraged prayers wearing them sometimes, saying, be different from the Jews, for they do not pray in their socks nor in their hoofs, leather socks. Occasionally he would...
in the socks, you say?
Leather
the shoes?
Socks. It says leather socks.
No, before that.
Shoes.
He says socks, by the way.
In their shoes and no in their hoofs.
No, but it said the socks. I heard the word socks. Okay. Is that right? Yes. I was alert. I was listening. Read it again, please.
Be different from the Jews, for they do not pray in their shoes, nor in their hoofs, which is leather socks.
Correct.
Occasionally, he would remove them from his feet while in prayer, and then continue his prayer, as Abu Sa'id al-Khudri had said. The Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wasallam prayed with us one day. Whilst he was engaged in the prayer, he took off his shoes and placed them on his left. When the people saw this, they took off the shoes. When he finished his prayers, he said, why did you take your shoes off? They said, we saw you taking your shoes off, so we took our shoes off. He said, verily Jibreel came to me and informed me that there was a dot, or he says something harmful. Another narration, filth on my shoes, so I took them off. Therefore, when one of you goes to the mosque, he should look at his shoes. If he sees in them dot, or he says something harmful, or in another narration, filth, he should wipe them and pray in them. When he removed them, he would place them on his left, and he would also say, when one of you prays, he should not place his shoes on his right nor on his left, where they will be on someone else's right, except if there's no one on his left, but he should place them between his feet.
Right. For verily, that is the Prophet ﷺ, in terms of his etiquette regarding praying with the shoes, sometimes he would pray with barefooted, no shoes, and sometimes he's got shoes on. So what is the way to do this is actually that you don't make a burden upon yourself. If you've got no shoes, you pray with no shoes. So you don't put your shoes on to pray with your shoes. And if you had shoes on, you don't take them off unless there is something which is make you take them off. For example, in the masjid. So if the place, let's say you are going in an airport, where there is a musalla there, and the musalla, you can pray whatever you like. And that musalla is not carpeted, for example. Or it's a multi-faith hall where everybody can come in. So if you got your shoes and you're comfortable to pray with your shoes, there's no problem. You pray with your shoes and don't take the burden upon yourself to take them off. So you pray with your shoes on. And especially, that is to show those people who are, and that is would be even more recommended if you had put in your heart that is to be different from the ones who pray with no shoes on. The Jews, when their prayers, they pray, they take off the shoes. One day, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu and Abu Musa al-Ash'ari radiallahu anhu, both go together. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud and Abu Musa al-Ash'ari are well-known reciters. But Abdullah ibn Mas'ud is more knowledgeable and older than Abu Musa al-Ash'ari. Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, his recitation is as close as the recitation of Jibreel alayhi salam to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because the Prophet of Allah said, if you want to listen to the recitation of the Quran freshly recited, then recite it according to the recitation of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. But Abu Musa al-Ash'ari is known to be the melody. When the Prophet ﷺ passed by him and he was reciting, he said, "Uti hada mizmara min mazamiri Dawood." This person has got one of those melodies of Dawood. Dawood used to recite, and everything recites with him. The birds would sing, the mountain would sing, everything. So beautiful voice. So he said about him, about Abu Musa al-Ash'ari, he's got one of those melodies. And the Prophet of Allah has been told the revelation. His recitation is so beautiful. When Abu Musa just saw the Prophet of Allah is saying this, he didn't realize the Prophet of Allah, he was listening. He said, if I knew that you were here, Messenger of Allah, لَحَبَّرْتُ لَكَ تَحْبِيرًا. I would have even made it better. I would have even made it what? More melody. I didn't know that you were. So he's doing it not out of showing off, he's doing it his own recitation. If I knew that you were here, I would have done it even better for you. So both do it together. And if it was left to who's to lead the prayer, it would have been Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. So Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, before anything happens, he told Abu Musa, lead. So he's telling now the one who is less in terms of knowledge, in terms of age-wise, in terms of even coming to the religion of Islam, one so much younger in Islam, much older in Islam. He came to Islam before, well before than Abu Musa. So then lead the prayer. So when he wanted to lead the prayer, he took his shoes off. So Allah he said, "Amutahawikuna ya Abu Musa, we're going to be Jews? Are we going to be like Jews, Abu Musa? Why are you taking your shoes off?" So that is what we say. It was at that time well known that the Jews, when they pray, they take their shoes off. So if you pray with your shoes on, bearing in mind that I want to be different from them, you're going to be rewarded, it's more recommended. And not just the Jews these days. Some of those who are from Muslims, as soon as they see you praying with your shoes, those people will say to you, "You're a Wahhabi." Straight away, Wahhabi. Allahu Musta'an. Now either you want to teach them what is the Sunnah, or maybe you don't want to pray with that and make them to want to go away from you. It's up to you what you think. For very least. Some of the scholars, they said, regarding wiping of the khuf, wiping over the khuf and wiping over the socks, is from our aqidah. It's a fiqh issue where they put it in the aqidah, and we wipe off with the khuf. You know why? Because the Mu'tazila and the Khawarij and the Rafidah, they don't wipe over the khuf. So we do that to be what? Different from them. So if you say, or somebody like these Khawarij or Rafidah, you wipe over the khuf to make sure that you are what? From the people of Sunnah. So we say, if you are in these holes in airport and all of that, pray with your shoes. But some people are not comfortable with their shoes because maybe the shoes are too big, can't sit on it, can't feel comfortable. You take it off. But as I said, taking it off or putting it on, don't make it as a burden. Prophet Allah, he prayed in both cases. But he said as well, to those who want all the time pray with barefooted, pray with your shoes on and be different from the Jews. So if you have that in your heart, it would be more recommended. But as I said, in this masjid, it's not really good to somebody to implement the Sunnah like those people who do not understand the Sunnah. They came to one of the masajid because they've learned something from their Shaykh, and they're from us. They call them Salafis. They came to the masjid with big boots and trainers. Like, the army, they marched forward and then it caused fitna to the people. What is this? So pray, what are you going to implement the Sunnah with your shoes? Is that the Sunnah of yours? Actually, the masjid. At the time of the Prophet of Allah, there was no carpet. It was like what? Pebbles, sand, dirt, whatever you want to call it. But here is a masjid, got a carpet. And from that hadith, we learn as well that if your shoes is going to be dirty, it's not good to pray with it. Because the Prophet of Allah, he said that if one of you is to pray, then let him put his shoes on or take them off. For verily he should not harm people with them. So if you take them off, you're going to harm people with them, make sure you don't. So as well, when you pray with them, don't harm people with them. So somebody behind you is going to pray and put his head close to your shoes. Your shoes smells, a'udhu billah. How is he going to be feeling comfortable in sujood? Drawn up. It's not just his shoes, it's what the socks. Some of the socks they kill you.
Some of the socks, when you put them on and you pray here, wallahi, they leave the mark of the stink and the stain in the carpet. True or not, Ikhwani? True or not? You say sometimes you mix sujood, there's a rotten cheese there out of the shoes. So the person, even if you're Muslim, if you have to wash yourself, make sure your feet are smelling nice, you don't kill people with the smell. So that feet of yours is close to the header. So here the Prophet of Allah, he says, when you take your shoes off, put them on your left, unless there is somebody on your left. Because if you put them on your left and somebody's on your left, you're going to harm him, because they're going to be on your right. Regardless of what you do, don't put them on what? On your right. So don't put them on the right. Right is always honored. Put them in the left unless there is somebody on your left. Then if there is somebody on the left, put them between what? Your feet. But if you put them between your feet, there's a hint here that don't put them in what? In front. Don't put them on the right. Put them on the left. There's somebody on the left, don't put them in the left, between your feet. That means don't pray towards them. So this thing, some of the people, they really put their shoes as a sutra, mashallah, for them. It's not correct. You understand? You put a sutra, shield for them. That's not right. So, if I have people behind me, it's going to be in front of them as well. So I will take them from my left and my right and put them somewhere else. I just move them somewhere else. Just about 2 yards away, 3 yards away from me. So they could pray freely without putting the shoes, whether on the right, on the left, or between my feet. I'll put them far away, because this is hadith tells us that the person is recommended for him to pray with his clean shoes. Clean, not just tahir, clean, smelling nice. Because he's وَلَا يُؤْذِي بِهِمَا غَيْرَهُ. Do not harm other people with them. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, one day he was praying, according to hadith of Sayyid Khudri, and while he was praying, he took his shoes off and put them on his left. Of course, the Imam has got nobody on his left nor on his right in that case. So companions looked at the Prophet of Allah. They thought this is a new revelation now, that when you are praying, you take your shoes off as well. So straight away they took their shoes off. So the Prophet ﷺ, after he had finished, and he had seen, already he knew, because you could see behind him. He had seen that all these people putting their shoes in the left. So he said, مَا بَالَكُمْ أَلْقَيْتُمْ نِعَالَكُمْ. Why do you take your shoes off? It's a messenger of Allah. We've seen you doing this. We've done the same. And that is something that is being championed by the Prophet. That they're doing everything that the Prophet of Allah is doing. To the letter. They are blind followers to the Prophet. Do you understand me? And you should be blind followers to the Prophet. You follow him. That's it. They would not ask, what's your proof, Messenger of Allah, if we're taking his shoes off? Huh? They wouldn't. Because قال الله قال رسوله. And you don't ask, what's your proof? He's a proof himself. Took his shoes off, they take his shoes off. But the Prophet ﷺ, he said, the reason I took my shoes off is Jibreel ﷺ came to me. That means he came to him in a form that they can't see him, nor they could hear him. And he told me that my shoes have got qadar. Qadar means khabath, means dirt, impurity. That's the word, impurity. And an impurity on your clothes, you're not allowed to pray with them. And if you pray deliberately with your impurity on your clothes, your prayer is invalid. If you didn't know about them, there's no problem, inshallah. Why? Because of this hadith. Because the Prophet of Allah, he prayed now part of his prayer with what? With impurity. He did not repeat the prayer. Part of his prayer was what? Impurity. Could be excrement, could be whatever. Could be poo, could be anything. But he prayed part of his prayer with impurity, and his prayer was not invalid. So he took them off. He said, if you come to the masjid, then look into your shoe. The masjid of the Prophet, or the masjid where there's pebbles, not a carpet. And you want to pray with your shoes on, look into your shoes. If you see impurity, then wipe them. Another hadith, rub them against the ground. That's how you clean them. Rub them against the ground. So cleaning the shoes which are impure is to rub them against the ground, whether it's the ground is grass or whatever. Don't take them to the basin or the sink. Your wife will kill you for that. Don't wash them there in the sink where the people wash their plates and all of that. So what you want, rub them against the ground, and that's sufficient, inshallah. Right. Now, alhamdulillah, we understand the prayer with the shoes, so we go into the following time.
Can I ask a question on that issue?
No, question is now. Question afterwards.
Is it?
Question we said afterwards, brother.
It's regarding the issue that
Question afterwards, brother.
Okay, thank you.
Prayer on the pulpit, mimbar. Once he sallallahu alayhi wasallam prayed on the pulpit in another narration which had 3 steps. Hence he stood on it and said takbir, and the people behind him said takbir while he was on the pulpit. Then he made ruku on the pulpit. Then he rose and descended backwards to make sajda at the foot of the pulpit. Then he returned and did on it as he had done in the first rak'ah until he completed his prayer. He then turned to the people and said, "O people, I have done this so that you may follow me and learn my prayer."
Right, from this, first of all, did I talk about the pulpit here in this masjid? Yeah. I did. And I said it's not only the sunnah, definitely. For verily, salatu ala al-minbar, prayer upon the pulpit. The pulpit is like this, but it's not like this. I mean, that's a huge pulpit. That's a chair, but it's a big chair with 3 steps. And the pulpit of the Prophet ﷺ is about halfway, 3 steps. The last platform is small, like that one, where it's not able for the person to prostrate. Now, if the imam, he wishes to teach the people and pray on top of something high, then he will make his prayer with ruku' and also sujood on that platform. But if his platform is short and small, where you could make the qiyam and the ruku', but he cannot make the sujood, then he would reverse back while he's praying, reverse, step down, and then make his sujood on the ground, because he can't do it on the top because the platform is not big enough. You first sajda, second sajda, and then you climb up to do the second rak'ah in the same way. So his qiyam and his ruku' on the top. That shows you the pulpit of the Prophet ﷺ is 3 steps and simple ones. Like these ones are not simple. I don't think you're going to be reversing back on these very safely. You're going to fall on your head. They're huge. Although a small step. Now these days we find, so I would like the pure you are people of Al-Sunnah to knock this down and bring something which is simple. Not like that. Simple one. And I made a number of, alhamdulillah, helpers, some of the masajid, simple ones. So if I've got time, I can make you one and shall put it here. It's a simple one, very simple one. Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ, it does not take a lot of space. And also, we find that some of the countries, I don't know if you are in Somalia or Zanzibar or whatever country you come from, but our pulpits, they are like skyscrapers. They are up to the ceiling. I don't know if you've seen them. And it comes all the way, cuts about 3 rows at least. 3 rows, first row, second row, cuts them in the middle. Because you need a big space to climb. You can't climb 90 degrees like that. So you climb slowly like this. And that pulpit is number 1 bid'ah. It's from the time of the Dawla al-Umayyah. Stop it. Number 2, it breaks the rows. 2, 3 rows have been broken. They're not compact because of that pulpit. Number 3, it's scary. For the imam to deliver a khutbah, I delivered khutbahs in one of those masjids. It's an old masjid, alhamdulillah, it's been knocked down, not just the pulpit, the whole masjid, knocked down and rebuilt properly. But when I used to go to deliver the khutbah, I was a young man. But I used to be scared. I can't climb all the way to the top, I climb halfway. So halfway I deliver, because if I go to the top, I see the people very small. It's so high, really high. Now, there is a pulpit, whereas it's not as high, but the end, because at the end there is like a little cottage that the imam goes inside. Okay? Some of these cottages are big enough for you to stand up, and some of them are just little. You're not supposed to go there and stand up in them, just to sit underneath them. That pulpit, when I saw it, and I studied before I go, I'm going to go there and deliver nothing. One day I was not there, so I gave my excuse to the Ministry of Endowment, so they're supposed to give somebody go ahead to substitute myself, and it was the secretary, second man. The second man is short, Khatib is short. So when I left, the head of the ministry and the second man, he was there. The head of the ministry, he wanted to see how the second man is going to do as a Khatib. And I was doing something else that I can't remember. It was a long time ago, but I remember that they had been talking about this khutbah until today. Every time they mention it, they keep laughing. This short man, he thought he could fit himself into that little thing. So he went climbing, and he went all the way to that little thing and stood up, knocked his head, all his turban and all his iqal went down, and about 3-4 minutes before they started the khutbah, just laughing. They couldn't really start the khutbah. Everybody in the masjid couldn't hold themselves laughing from that. This is that pulpit that would create something like this. The pulpit is supposed to be simple. Some of these pulpits nowadays, when they're newly built masjid, they go behind. Have you seen them? They make the mihrab, and there's from inside. You see them inside the stairs. Have you seen them as well? Ya akhi, khayrul hadi hadi Muhammad. It's 3 steps. Why you want to hide them from behind? And it becomes like a window. You see them? A window on top of the people. You see them yet? The masjid is like a window. That's not us. Make it simple. 3 steps. Subhanallah. Right, finished now, start praying on the pulpit. This is up to the imam. If you want to teach the people, you can do so. And it's permissible. We're coming now to the following title, and by which we'll finish inshallah. As-sutra.
The sutra and the obligation to have one. He sallallahu alayhi wasallam used to stand near to the sutra, so that there was a distance of 3 cubits between him and the wall, and between the place of his prostration and the wall there was enough space for a sheep to pass. He used to say, do not pray except towards the sutra, and do not let anyone pass in front of you. But if sometimes continues to try to pass, then fight him, for he has a companion, that is a shaitan, with him. He would also say, when one of you prays toward the sutra, he should get close to it so the shaitan cannot break his prayer.
Right, you're going to just break your recitation to 2 halves or 2 3/3, I think. 1/3 this is. A sutra and its compulsion, obligation. That's the title, isn't it? A sutra or wujub. Now, sutra is wajiba, and also you have to add وَالدُّنُوُّ مِنْهَا, and getting close to it. So add to the sutra وُجُوبِهَا أو وُجُوبُهَا وَالدُّنُوُّ مِنْهَا, and also getting close to it. Where I took this title from? From the book which is he made, the Shaykh Al-Albaani, Talkhis, the abbreviation. Sifa Salat al-Nabi, he adds that. Just like we have added as-salatu fi as-safinati wat-ta'ir, and the aeroplane. This one, in addition, and getting close to it. In this ahadith, you could see that the Prophet ﷺ, he said, لا تصلي إلا إلى sutra. Do not pray except to a sutra. What is a sutra? Sutra means in Arabic, satara, sitara, means to cover, shield. This shield, I have to pray every time to pray. How big, how high? We will see that in a minute, inshallah. This sutra, I need to make sure that I am not far away from it. How far I am? You see, we call it the practical sunnah, the sunnah al-amali. How far I should be from that sutra? How far is the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? He said, فَلْيَدْنُ مِنْهَا. Let him get close. How close? Well, the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that we're going to come to it later on, that he used to make between him and, well, the first one he had as well, between him and the sutra, the first hadith, sorry, and that is 3 adra. Adra means cubit. That's the dhira. The dhira is measured between the middle finger and the elbow. That's called the dhira. Dhira. Okay? Dhira. Hand. This dhira is equal, by the way, if you measure it, to 2 handstands. Look. 1, 2. Everybody measures dhira, whether it's young or not. Look. Dhira. Look at that. 2 handstands. So the 2 handstands is dhira. Okay? You could measure it. And this is called ba'. From here to here, the underarm is called ba'. And if you want to measure how tall you are, you don't have to measure it from the feet to the head. Just stretch your arms like that. Get your meter from here to there. Cross. And that's your height. I don't know if you learned this before or not. You got your own measuring tape with you. Every person got this measuring tape with him. So between here and here, that's your height. Exactly, by centimeters. Allah made you in proportion. Between this and this is your height. So this is called dhira'. This is called, ba'. This is called dhira'. Right? Dhira' is 2 handspans. Between the Prophet ﷺ and the wall, between his feet and the wall, 3 dhira'as. But 3 dhira'as, 1.5 meters. Now how much is that 1.5 meters in terms of my prostration to the wall? He says he would leave between his prostration spot and the wall in front of him a sheep passage. Now for the sheep to pass, whether it is little or chubby, she needs dhira', 0.5 meter. So it needs that much. So the practical way of praying towards the sutra is not to be further away from that, nor to pray as some of the people seated close, so close, it's like charging like a bull into the wall. Like his head is charging against the wall, almost knocking the wall. So it is the sutra, sunnah al-amaliyah, is that to put your head in the prostration, so between your head and the wall, sheep passage. And you're not supposed to be far away from the sutra. What's the point of the sutra then? So this sutra is a shield. It's important, so important. We're going to see why it's so important. Well, number one, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, you may not pray except for a sutra. When does the sutra fall? It's not required. Well, if you pray behind an imam. For verily the imam's sutra is your sutra. Who said that? It's not a hadith from the Prophet ﷺ. There's no such thing. Sutra to imam, sutra to musalli. That's the saying, fiqh. The prayer, the sutra of the imam is sutra for the ones who are behind. This is because of a hadith. One of them is Abdullah ibn Abbas. That the Prophet ﷺ was praying, leading the prayer. And I came on top of a donkey. And I started going between the rows with my donkey. If each person has a sutra, they will never let the donkey to pass through, because the donkey will break off your prayer. So he was going between the rows between his donkeys. That means that there is no need for the sutra for the person behind the imam. So if you're in the haram and the imam is leading the prayer, you could pay what? Go between the rows. If you want to find, for example, there's a space for you there, you could go between the rows. If somebody did like this to you, put his hand down and tell him, you know, you don't need sutra. Tell him you don't need sutra, because people, they don't think that. So let him go in front of the people, no problem. So the sutra is needed for the person on his own or the imam. Right. So now I know how far I should be from the sutra. How big is the sutra? The sutra, it could be as thin as a needle or as a pencil. But in terms of height-wise, Prophet of Allah ﷺ in a hadith is going to come now, is that he who takes mu'khiratul rahil. Al-rahil is the camel. And you got a saddle. I don't know if you've seen the saddle of the camel. It's got like a little pole that the rider holds onto it. Have you seen it? The saddle got a little hole. So even you find some of those Indian people, when they go on the top of the camel, or they go there with their legs like this on top of it, like that. They wrap it with their legs. I don't know if you've seen that or not. That's the mu'khirat al-rahil. It's like a back support. Mu'khirat al-rahil, according to the measurement, the Salaf used to say, was in Sunan Abi Dawood, the number 685. It says, dhira', 1 handspan. 1 handspan is the Hashemite, and it's about 47 centimeters. So this one is not enough to be sutra height. It has to be a bit higher. As for the line, it cannot be a sutra. I'm saying this because there's a hadith in Sunan Abi Dawood. Prophet ﷺ had made a line, and that hadith is unauthentic. So the line cannot be a sutra. It has to be the minimum height, about 40 centimeters, like that, like my handspan. So your Quran bench could be enough, inshallah. If you make it standing up, you know that. Can you just give me that blue one, please? Yeah, you got one here. In terms of width-wise, that's big, mashallah. But in terms of height, this way, it's not enough. This way, so you put it like this, that's more than enough. You pray towards it, make sure that your head is about that much. So between your head, prostration, and between the shield is a passage entrance. You're not really too close like this, you're not too far. That's the sutra. Prophet of Allah, he said, pray to the sutra and let it get close to it. Otherwise the shaitan will break off your prayer. Now, so that means if you are in a locked room and you say there's nobody going to pass in front of me, yet you have to take what? Sutra. Why? Because the shaitan. So don't pray except for a sutra. And let me tell you something. From the way to minimize the waswasa and the shaitan to capture your heart is the sutra. So the sutra minimize the waswas of the shaitan. Because if you don't have a sutra, shaitan start breaking off your prayer. Start breaking off your prayer. So from the way to make the shaitan locked and minimize his effect onto you in the prayer, because he's always with you in the prayer, then to take the sutra. And that's something people don't know about. Those people who are the sunnah, they don't have that much waswasa. But the people who do not apply the sunnah, lots of waswasa. So from the fruit of implementing the sunnah is the waswasa will be away from you. Implement the sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ and pray towards the sutra. The sutra could be the leg of the table, but listen, could be the leg of the chair. When you put the sutra, you don't put that sutra to your right as some of the hadith, which is not authentic. You put it in front of you. So if I'm going to pray towards the table, my head is supposed to be opposite to the leg of the table, not in the middle of the table. Do you understand? So if I'm praying to a chair, I'm going to pray to the leg of the chair, not in the middle between the legs. Do you understand what I'm saying? So in this, I'm going to pray where? Towards the leg. Where's the leg? Here. I don't pray here. Let me give you an example. Then you'll understand. The goal. You know the goal? Oh, inshallah. Big bars about from here to there. Football. You don't pray in the middle. Goal. Huh? You pray to the leg. The lamppost. You understand? The post. You don't pray in the middle. So you don't think, oh, they're being joined by a bar, so no problem. No, no. You have to pray the thing to the leg which is on from the ground. So the leg of the table, the leg of the chair, but not in between. Same thing with the bed. Even if the bed is not much that high, a little bit of height on top of the ground, you don't pray to that. You pray to that leg where it's joined to the ground. That's the sutra. Whether the sutra is hanging from the top, touching the ceiling, or it's coming from the ground. So that's the sutra. Prophet of Allah ﷺ used to take all sorts of sutra. Wool, the back of a person, the camel, the tree, a staff, the leg of the bed. Even you could pray to the woman if she's covered. So your wife, she's covered, and she's, mashallah, she's got like a quilt which is high enough as a sutra, you could pray towards her, no problem. If she's covered, if she's not covered, no. Not allowed to pray behind a woman. Right, so what is the benefit of the sutra apart from implementing what the Prophet ﷺ told me to do so? The Messenger of Allah ﷺ used to say, for verily, if you don't take the sutra, then two things could happen to you. One, invalidation of the prayer, or two, deduction from the reward of the prayer. Invalidation of the prayer is one of those three passes between you and your prostration place. And listen to me, brothers. And this is the fiqh of our Shaykh Rahmatullahi alayhi, Al-Albaani in his book. If you take a sutra, then you are safe from any cutting off of the prayer, regardless. Whether he passes in front of the sutra, between you and the sutra, as long as you take a sutra, he's safe. But if you don't take a sutra, then you are in jeopardy. If a dog, black, donkey, regardless of the color, a woman who is adult, regardless of her race, passes between you and your prostration spot, then your prayer is invalid. You have to start it from the beginning. Prophet ﷺ, he said, إِذَا صَلَّى أَحَدُكُمْ, if one of you to pray, فَلْيَضَعْ مثل مؤخرة الرحل, let him put like the backbone of the saddle, and لا يقطع عليه صلاته, the three things will cut off his prayer: الكلب الأسود والحمار والمرأة الحائض. الكلب الأسود, that is the black dog, and the himar is the donkey. المرأة الحائض, that means the woman. It says here on her menses, it means she is adult. Whether she's on her menses or not, her menses doesn't matter. She's an adult. If she's young, child, no problem. Those three things will break off your prayer, invalidate your prayer. This hadith, when she was said by Abu Hurairah, the narrator, Aisha, she heard it. She said, Subhanallah, you made us looking like black dogs and donkeys. That's what she thought. She didn't hear the Prophet said that. He said, for verily the Prophet of Allah used to pray towards the Qibla, and I was between him and the Qibla. I used to get up from my bed and go. So, according to she, that no problem. We say Aisha, she was said, is correct. But Aisha radiallahu anha, she's talking about that she was on the bed, she did not cross. She was in front. And we said you could pray towards a woman if she's covered. But if you cross, that's the crossing. So, let's see. If a woman passed between you and your sutra, and she came to where you are, and you have told her to go away, and she went back to the same direction that she came from, she did not break off your prayer. So even if she reached the middle point where she's in front of you, but she did not cross, so it's the crossing, whether it is the woman, the dog, the black dog, sorry, or the donkey. Companion asked, Messenger of Allah, what is wrong with the black dog? So the black dog is shaitan. The black dog, which is the dog that is completely black, not a single hair in it, which is grey. Aswadun bahim. In the Arabic, bahim means black. That is shaitan. You're not allowed to use that black dog in anything, whether it is police dogs, whether it is for bleeding the blind, or to shepherd the sheep, herd the sheep, or for the black dog, for example, to guard the farm. You're not allowed to use a black dog. In an Islamic state, Muslim state, black dogs should be killed. They are shayateen. But you are not in a state like this, you're not allowed to touch black dogs. Okay? And I'm saying this and I'm emphasizing the fact. Dog. You came here in this country, you signed a law. You cannot kill whether the dog is black or red. If the dog had bitten you, you raise your matter to the authorities. Most likely the dog should be put down. Should be put down. But sometimes it is not the case, unfortunately. There will be a case, for example, maybe against you, that you've terrified the dog. He needs now a psychiatrist to look after him. Depending which case you are in. It happened to my friend. The dog barked against his children. And he had, threatened the dog with his stick. And the woman, she took him to the police. Instead of telling the dog off, they told him off. Allah musta'an. I believe that the person should be a very good Muslim by showing the following fact. We Muslims act over or overreact when we see a dog. True or not? When we see the don't touch me. People, when they see you like this, doing that, see, this people, there's something wrong with them. Actually, the dog, there's nothing wrong with it. You could, as a leading blind dog. Prophet of Allah said a woman from a prostitute from the Jewish, Israeli, she had entered paradise and Allah forgave her sin because she fed what? She gave water to the dog. Right? The dog, if he touches you with his fur, is clean. It's only what? His tongue, that's it. So his fur, his skin, nothing wrong with it. I'm not allowed to breed, and I'm not allowed to breed a dog or look after a dog unless for those purposes. Leading a blind, for police dogs, for example, shepherding, having the sheep, for guarding, okay, for looking after my farm, okay. That is the dog that I'm allowed to keep. But dog just to keep in my bedroom and all of that, it's not allowed. His saliva is the one which is najis, impure. So if it touches your pot, you have to clean it 7 times. And the correct opinion, 7 times with water, and or one of them is with mud, so 8 times. Mud means what? Sand. So you put sand, and then you clean one of them 7 times. If he had licked your clothes, the correct opinion is that you just wash it normally, then heat it 7 times. Only when you lick your pot, the one that you eat from. And as I said, this is controversial, but I think what is a belief, the correct opinion is only when he licks the pot. Not when he licks your clothes. He licks your clothes, you don't have to wash your clothes with sand because you're going to damage them anyway. So it's actually with water, and it's enough, bi-idhnillah. Right, coming back. That dog, the donkey when he brays, you know that, what he sees? During the night, if he brays, he sees a shaitan. The donkey, if he brays during the night, he sees what? Shaitan. Who said that? The Prophet. And the rooster in the morning, when they start they're making their sound, they've seen him what? An angel. So the rooster, one during the night, late night, in the morning, early morning, when they make that, what is that sound of the rooster? No, I don't want to, what do they call it? I don't want to, what do you call that sound? Shaykh in Arabic. Shaykh. Say the howling of the what? The wolf, isn't it? So what is the Subhanallah. Nobody knows what the Shaykh in English. Okay. When he makes the sound, that sound is that he sees an angel. As for the donkey during the day, if he brays, maybe he saw another woman. Female donkey. It's nothing to do with shaitan. It's during the night. Coming back. Right. So the sutra is a must, and even if you are on your own, you have to make the sutra. What about if I'm in the haram? Yes, these ahadith are in the haram of Medina. There's no difference between a masjid big or a masjid small. There's no difference between the haram and your masjid in terms of sutra. So if you're praying on your own, whether it's voluntary or obligatory, make sure that you take a place where there is no way people will cross your sutra. So if you are now praying towards the sutra, let's say that you pray towards this microphone. Big enough, mashallah. And somebody wants to pass. So you could pass either behind you or in front of the sutra, not between you and the sutra. Okay? If you are praying behind the imam, you don't need that sutra. The imam's sutra is your sutra. So if there is no way for him to pass in the front, then what you need to do, go forward and let them pass what? Behind. Prophet ﷺ, he was leading the prayer, and that's another hadith to show that the people behind the Prophet didn't need the sutra. There was a sheep. Sheep. Wanted to pass between the Prophet of Allah and the wall, which he was praying towards. So the Prophet ﷺ, he kept going towards the wall because the sheep has either a passage between him and the wall or behind him. He kept getting closer and closer until he stuck his stomach to the wall, so the sheep passed what? Behind him. When he passed behind, he passed in front of the people. No problem. As long as it does not pass behind in front of the imam. So if this person, you put your hand on him to like this and he doesn't want to understand, you can go forward, because some of the people don't understand. Either they're ignorant or, okay? So you keep going forward and forward until he passes in front of you, behind you. Don't let him pass between you and your sutra. If he had passed, don't worry. If he had managed and you have stopped it, don't worry. Nothing happens to your prayer. As I said, only the one who do not take a sutra. The second thing that may happen to you if you don't take a sutra, that if any of those 3 things did not pass, but something else, a sheep, or a human, a man, or anything, boys, apart from the dog, black dog and the donkey and the women who are adult, if it's like a man, then half of your prayer is gone. Half of the reward. Already you are striving in one half. Because the Prophet ﷺ said, if you pray fully, you get what? Half. So your half that you've been striving to get is gone. With that man. So take a sutra. And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, put your hand to stop. Second time, first time, second time, third time, fight him. And I'm not saying fight him like this. That means you could push hard on him. If it's a woman, you're not allowed to do that. Because you're not going to allow to touch him. But the man, you could really, if he had fallen down and let's say something had happened to him, you're not responsible. Not in here. Everything we are talking about, yeah, not in here. You have to be careful because they don't understand these things. Prophet Allah, he said, فَإِنَّ مَعَهُ قَرِينٌ. Imagine you go to the police station. You know, he knocked on my chest. You know, poor officer, actually, there was a hadith of the Prophet, he said, I have to do this. And I knocked him down because the Prophet said, fight him. Because he's got a shaitan with him. What? So besides going to the police station, they're going to go to suction now. Not suction. Mental hospital. This guy, imagine he's got a shaitan with him, he's saying. So people don't understand these things. Prophet said, إِنَّ مَعَهُ قَرِينٌ. Qareen means shaitan. He's trying to take to break off your prayer. Just like the Prophet ﷺ, he was about to eat. A man came and he just wanted to eat. He put his left, held of the Prophet. And the little girl, Jari, she came, it's like somebody pushing her. She wanted to eat the left, he held her as well. It's verily by Allah. The shaitan wanted to make this food lawful to him by pushing first one, the man, and then the one? The girl. And by Allah, the hand of the shaitan is along with their hands. He's holding out three hands. The man, the girl, and shaitan. They want to make the food for them halal, to eat it. Because if they eat with the left, shaitan eat with you. They don't say Bismillah straight away. They make it halal for them. So that is why shaitan comes with this person. He wants to make your prayer cut off. To break off your prayer. Don't let it. Now if, as I said, it's going to be like a fight, go forward. Treat him like a sheep. You know the sheep? Treat him as a sheep. What about the children? The children. The same thing, actually, the children. You teach them. You teach them not to break off your prayer. Cut off your prayer. But you don't fight them. The children, you teach them, and if they want to pass it, treat them like a sheep. Go forward and let the children go behind. As easy as possible. And when you want to stop a person, use your hand, akhi. I'm saying this because somebody, while he was praying, somebody was passing, he put his foot. And that person dropped on his face. You understand? He did like this. Allah al-Musta'an. And once I was praying in the haram, and I was praying by sunnah, and I was praying from far away. This guy was following me. I know him because he was from the same bus. And we have an argument regarding the sutra. That he says that there's no need for sutra in the haram. So he wants to prove that there's no sutra. He comes to me while I'm praying. And he breaks off my prayer, and I put my hand, he just put my hand down. He said, no sutra in the haram. Wallahi like that. Allahu musta'an. And I can't really fight him because he's bigger than me. Much bigger than me. But this is not the way to prove that your point. Okay? There is a sutra in the haram. Those ahadith were taking place in the haram of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wa alihi wasallam. Let's talk about the ahadith again, so that can you continue, please, Shaykh, from where you have left it.
Sometimes he would seek to pray in the pillar which was in his mosque. When he prayed in an open space where there was nothing to use as a sutra, he would plant a spear on the ground in front of him and pray towards it with the people behind him. Sometimes he would to set his mount sideways and pray towards it. But this is not the same as a prayer in the resting place of camels, which he forbade, and sometimes he would take his saddle, set it lengthway and pray towards its end.
Right. Prophet ﷺ used to make prayer towards al-istiwana. Al-istiwana is a pillar, like a post. And that was in the masjid of the Prophet ﷺ. And it was almost in the middle of a rawdah. They called it Ustuwanat al-Muhajirin. Some of those companions used to pray towards it, and they used to say, the Prophet used to pray towards this one, they want to take that same spot. And the Prophet of Allah, whenever he goes in the open space, he will be prepared. And we should be prepared actually. When we go outside to travel, our prayer mat with us, our wudu with us, our compass is with us. You can't expect people to give you water. You can't expect people to give you a prayer mat. You can't expect people to tell you where the Qibla is. You're not living in a Muslim country. So be prepared. Prophet Allah was prepared. So he would take his sutra. Because in the open desert, it's not like here, we've got walls, mashallah. Open desert is nothing. So he would take his staff with him, and he would put it in front of it, or a spear, and he will pierce it in the ground, and he will pray towards it. And sometimes he prays towards his camel. Now, towards the camel, that means the camel is on down, knelt, not the camel moving. So if the camel is up, what we do, he would take off the saddle from the camel and put it on the ground. And he prays towards that backbone of that saddle. But if it is down, then the camel will pray towards it sideways. Like so, this the camel is not towards the head, not towards the back of the camel. Towards what? The middle of the camel. يُعَرِّضُ الْجَمَلِ. He will make, if it's up, he will not pray towards it because it's going to move. His sutra isn't going to be moving. So what we do, he would take the saddle and put it, and he will towards the saddle. Whether the saddle is from the front or the back, because you're going to be close. We'll pray towards from the back because it will be close to the backbone. You remember we said we have to be close to that saddle, to that pole or the post. Now, go ahead.
He would say, when one of you places in front of him something such as the stick on the end of a saddle, he should pray and not mind anyone who passes beyond it. Once he prayed towards the tree, and sometimes he would pray towards the bed on which Aisha radiallahu anha was lying under her sheet. He sallallahu alayhi wasallam would not let anything pass between him and his sutra. Hence once,
hang on a second. So the Prophet ﷺ, he prayed towards the tree once. And that was when the Prophet ﷺ, he was in the battle of Badr. Companions were asleep. The Prophet of Allah staying all night praying and making dua for the Prophet ﷺ. That, oh Lord, if those people to be defeated, there will be nobody to worship him. It's the first battle that the Prophet ﷺ was engaged in, Battle of Badr. You're praying towards a tree. That was the occasion for that. Now, let's say hence, yes, go ahead.
He was praying when a sheep came running in front of him. So he raised it until he pressed his belly against the wall, and it passes behind him. Also once while praying an obligatory prayer, he clenched his fist during it. So when he had finished, the people said, "O Messenger of Allah, did something happen during the prayer?" He said, "No, except that the devil wanted to pass in front of me, so I strangled him until I could feel the coldness of his tongue on my hand. By Allah and my brother Sulaiman not beaten me to it, I would have tied him, the devil, to one of the pillars of the mosque, so that the children of Medina could walk round him. So whoever can prevent something intervening between him and the Qibla, he must do so."
Right. So the Prophet ﷺ, one day he was praying the obligatory prayer. Companions were behind him. And the Prophet ﷺ was praying, he did like this. It's like he stretched his hand and he's like squeezing something. So companions, after the prayer, they asked the Prophet ﷺ, what happened? Remember the first case when he took his shoes off, they took the shoes off. This time, they did not follow him with that, but they wanted to ask. I said, what was that? Something, something new now, we have to do like this in the prayer as well? When we pray, do like that? They want to ask. So the Prophet ﷺ, he said, no, it's nothing happened to the prayer. The prayer is still the same. But the shaitan came to me and he wanted to pass between me and my sutra. So I had suffocated him. I have strangled him. Before we go ahead and continue the hadith, you know that Allah says, إِنَّهُمْ يَرَوْنَكُمْ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا تَرَوْنَ. They see you, these shayateen, where you can't see them. Nobody can see the shaitan in his real form except for whom Allah had willed for him to see it. Like the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You could see the shaitan when he transformed himself into something like a dog, a human being, anything else, but not his real form. Because they are made from the topless, or the top portion of the fire, smokeless, so to say, top of the fire, and they can't see them in the real form. They are invisible to us. Just like the Prophet of Allah was able to see Jibreel in his real form, and also to see him where nobody can see him, the Prophet of Allah was able to see the shaitan, and he took him from his neck, and he suffocated him. Suffocation is that to block his breath. That means shaitan breathes. And his saliva of his tongue. So he got a tongue. And he got a saliva. He was, when you suffocate somebody, what happened? He's opened his mouth and he started leaking saliva. That's what happened. And I could feel the coldness of his saliva. There's no liquid, but the coldness of his saliva onto my hand. And by Allah had it been, oh my brother Sulaiman, who had preceded me with a supplication, I would have tied him up to the pillar so that the children of the Medina will play with him, kick him, snatch him, and smack him, Had it been for that, my brother Sulaiman had a supplication before me, I would have tied him up to that pillar so the kids of the Medina would play with him. For verily, he who is able not to let anything pass between him and the Qibla, then let him do so. We're not able to stop a shaitan. So the Prophet of Allah said, take a sutra, shaitan will not cut off your prayer. So what is the supplication of Sulaiman alayhi salam? Sulaiman alayhi salam, he said to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, قَالَ رَبِّ اغْفِرْ لِي وَهَبْ لِي مُلْكًا لَا يَنْبَغِي لِأَحَدٍ مِنْ بَعْدِي. O Lord, forgive for me and give me a dominion which is not going to be given to anybody, any prophet after me. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had given him that dominion. What is that dominion? In the hadith which is authentic, narrated by Muslim Ahmad, and also in the Naasir, that Sulaiman alayhi salam, when he had finished building the temple, which is this Haykal Sulaiman, which is Bayt al-Maqdis, when he had finished building Bayt al-Maqdis, which is Masjid al-Aqsa. And he asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for three things. And I've said the temple because I was really under the impression what the Jews are really trying to find now these days by digging underneath the Masjid al-Aqsa, trying to find the skull temple of Solomon. But it's actually when he built Masjid Al-Aqsa, and he had built it, that means he re-maintained it, because he's not the one who had firstly built it. According to the correct opinion, it is not him, it is Yaqub alayhi salam who built it. But Sulaiman re-maintained it, he made maintenance to it. He asked Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for three things. Number one, he said, حُكْمًا يُصَادِفُ حُكْمَ اللَّهِ, that the judgment would synchronize with the judgment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And mulkan, and a dominion, which is not going to be to anybody else, which is in the ayah, in the verse. Allah gave him to him, He gave him the judgment, and He gave him as well the dominion. The third one, that any person comes to the masjid and intends to pray in it, that he will not come out of it except that all of his sins will be forgiven, just like the day that his mother gave birth to him. Prophet ﷺ, he said, and I hope that the third one is being given to him as well. So you go to the Masjid Al-Aqsa and pray, he said, intention for the prayer, that you come out of it, that you will have your sins being cleansed, just like you have the mother giving birth to you. So, what is the judgment that Allah gave him to Sulaiman? It's regarding two sisters, the older and the younger. They had a baby, and that baby belongs to the younger. But the older, she said, no, it's mine. It's my baby. So they went the Prophet Dawood alayhi salam, the father of Sulaiman, and both, they said their alibis and their proofs. Dawood alayhi salam, he ruled, it is for the older. But when they went to Sulaiman alayhi salam, and this hadith authentic, went to Sulaiman alayhi salam, and that's the rule, the judgment that Allah had given him, which is exactly the judgment of Allah Azza wa Jalla. That is, said, okay, give me the knife, let me kill him and cut him in 2 halves. Half for you and half for you. That's his judgment. So Sulaiman brought the knife, the little one, he said, no, it's not mine, it's hers. So Sulaiman said, it's yours. Do you understand how he judged? Because the mother, she will never let her baby be killed. Let her have the baby still alive. Because it's not mine, just take it, let it. He said, it's yours. When he wanted to cut it in 2 halves and give half to the elder and half to the younger, she said, that's not mine. So he said, it's yours. Because the mother, she would not let her son to die. She would make the elder sister to look after him rather than for him to be killed and cut in 2 halves. And the dominion, which is the rule of the jinn. Sulaiman salam was not just a prophet, he was a king. Sulaiman salam had the jinn working for him 7/24 hours. 24/7. Working for him. Tamathil, Mahari, he make everything for him. And he's got powerful jinns. Queen Sheba throne, which needs, planes to bring it. Big one. He brings it like this, with a blink of an eye. So that's the dominion, and Allah gave it to Sulaiman alayhi salam by his permission, by Allah's permission, not by magic, by sorcery, by the way. So that's why, so a prophet of Allah, he said, remember, this is the dominion only for my brother Sulaiman. I'm not the holder of the control of the jinn. Otherwise he would have tied him up to that pillar and made the children to play around with him. By which, alhamdulillah, coming to the end, and then finally,
he also used to say, when one of you prays towards something which is a sutra between him and the people, and someone intends to cross in front of him, then he should push him in the throat and repel as much as he can. In one narration, he should stop him twice. But if he refuses to not pass, then he should fight him, for verily he is a devil. He also used to say, if the person who passed in front of someone praying knew the sin on him, it will be better for him to wait 40 than to pass in front. Abu An-Nadr said, I do not remember exactly whether he said 40 days, months or years.
Right. We learn here that the person, if he has to see somebody who's praying to a sutra and he has no way to pass it except crossing between him and the sutra, then he should rather wait 40, whether it's 40 minutes, 40 hours, 40 days, 40 years, should not what? Cross between that person and his sutra. It's not good. And if you have crossed, remember that person, he would lose half of his prayer. If you're a male. If it's a female adult, then his prayer will be jeopardized. Now listen to this, and this is maybe as well good to write it down in your book. First of all, that our Shaykh Rahmatullahi says that the Imam's sutra stays there even after he finished his prayer, which is for those who came late. So let's say, for example, you have came late and you missed a rak'ah or 2 or 3, and you caught up with 1 and you have to make 3 on your own after the Imam is what? Finished. Still the sutra of the Imam holds for you, and that's very good. So when the Imam is finished, people came late, they might block other people. No, they're not blocking you, brother. Because the sutra of theirs still with what? With the Imam. You could pass in front of them even though they are making up for missed rak'ah. Is that understood? That's a very good point for us, alhamdulillah. So his sutra is still holding. But that person, if he's blocking the path, let's say he's next to the door there outside, it would be very wise from him just to move a bit, akhi. Move towards the right, to the left, to the front, so that people can't pass behind you. Some people hold their ground like a soldier. And he would block the door out of his ignorance. Drawn up. So then, akhi, move. You have to move and pass, so that people are the right people pass. Prophet ﷺ, when he was praying, he used to walk and open the door for Aisha and come back to his place. Walk. Abdullah ibn Umar, once he put his camel and he prayed towards him, the camel got up and started moving. He started moving with it. For his sutra. how my students learned the Salafiyya out of the Shaykh Al-Albaani. The first meeting with the Shaykh Rahmatullahi, the first meeting, he came to us and the first time I see him, I saw him. The Shaykh was praying the sunnah of his. After he prayed the Maghrib, and his students, about 10 or 20, I can't remember, 20, I was not there in the masjid, I was preparing the house. But my students were there, young ones. They were not learned about the sutra. So, they've seen something strange. They said, you know, the Shaykh was praying, and suddenly he moved, and everybody behind him moved. Strange for them. I didn't know what happened. And to tell you the truth, I didn't know what happened. But later I knew that the Shaykh, what happened is that he's praying towards the back of somebody. That person moved, so the Shaykh moved towards the closest sutra to him. But the ones who take him as the sutra of his students moved as well forward to follow the Shaykh. So they said this is something I've never seen it, because when the person praying is like supposed to be like stuck to the ground. Brother, move. We're not to move. You're not going to move. See him, you don't move. Move, brother. That is for a space to move. He thinks if he moved, his prayer is invalid. No, akhi, move. You need to move for the sutra. You need to move as well for the people to pass behind you. Move to the right, move to the left. But if you move with no reason, of course it's not allowed. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. By this, alhamdulillah, we come to the end. But I would like you to read just the last note, Shaykh, if you don't mind. And that is the note for the Qadianis. You seen it there? It says narrated by Ahmad al-Daraqutni and al-Tabarani with isnad chain sahih. You remember it? This hadith?
The footnote, yeah.
Yeah, the footnote.
Ahmad al-Qutni al-Tabari.
And let me just, this hadith is talking about the shaitan and Sulaiman alayhi supplication, the Prophet Allah holding the shaitan and his, his saliva went on top of his hand. That's the hadith you're talking about. Yes.
With a sahih isnad and similar in meaning to this hadith is found in Bukhari and Muslim and others on the authority of several companions. It is one of the many ahadith which the Qadiani group disbelieve. For they do not believe in the world of jinn which is mentioned in the Quran and the Sunnah. The method of discarding the text is well known. If it is from the Quran, they change its meaning. Example, they are saying the exalted say it has been revealed to me that a group of jinns listen. They say this is a group of humans, making the word jinn synonymous with human. Hence they play with the language and the religion. It is from the Sunnah that this is possible for them to change it with a false interpretation. They do so. Otherwise, they find it easy to declare it to be false, even if all the Imams of the Hadith and the whole Ummah behind them agreed on its authenticity. Nay, it has been mutawatir. May Allah guide them.
Right, so the Shaykh, may Allah guide them, you say?
Yeah.
Who are the Qadianis? Qadianis, they call themselves Ahmadis these days. And now because of the media, they're spreading. They got Ahmad TV 1, Ahmad TV 2, Ahmad TV 3. They are actually hiding their real name. The name is Qadianis. The Ahmadis just recently came. And they've changed a number of things in order to bring some of those who are Ahl Sunnah being deceived by their da'wah. So for example, they don't call their Mirza Ghulam, whom they call him Mirza Ahmad Ghulam. Ahmad does not exist in his name. There's no such Ahmad. Mirza Ghulam Al-Qadiani. That he is not a prophet, he's not a Mahdi. But actually they claim he's what? He's a prophet. But they want to hide that fact. They say, no, he's the Mahdi. But they claim he's a prophet. And any person claims as a prophet after the Muhammad is not a Muslim. You could be any religion. You ought to suit yourself, whatever religion you want to call yourself, but that's not Islam. Because Allah says, وَخَاتَمَ النَّبِيِّينَ. And also the Prophet, we said, there's no prophet after me. Clear cut. So he is the seal of the Prophet. How do they interpret this verse? They say Khatam means Khatam, the ring. That means he's the beautiful prophet among the prophets. So no, Khatam means the seal. He's the end of the prophet. And he said, La nabiyya ba'd. There's no prophet after me. So those people who believe in such creed, they're not Muslims. But we cannot, listen to me, we cannot say all ones who believe in the Qadianis are kuffar. or all Qadianis are kuffar. We say all ones who believe in the Aqidah al-Qadianiyah is not Muslim. You understand that? Kuffar. But not every person who is belonging to the Qadianis must believe in everything which is what? Qadian. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because they say La ilaha illallah Muhammadun Rasulullah. So some of them are ignorant. They don't know what the big guys are doing. They don't know this philosophy that we know at the moment. From that they don't believe in the jinn. So min al-jinnati wal nas, I mean jinn is a different type of human being, another race. So nas, human being, and jinnah, different type of human being. So they don't believe in the jinn. And the jinn, and the world of the jinn, is from alam al-ghayb, from the unseen. And alam al-ghayb is one of the pillars of iman. You have to believe in the ghayb. الَّذِينَ يُؤْمِنُونَ بِالْغَيْبِ. You have to believe in the ghayb. If you don't believe in the ghayb, you're not a Muslim. So those who believe in the Qadiani Aqidah, they are not a Muslim. They are Qadianis. And be careful to call them Ahmadis. That's not correct. Ahmadis belong to Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, or belong to Ahmad, which is Ahmad Mirza Ghulam. There is no such thing called Ahmad Mirza Ghulam. And the poet had said, لو أن مرزا غلام نبي الهدى ما مات في بيت الخلا. Translation of which, if Mirza Ghulam was to be the prophet of guidance, he would have never died in the toilet. And Mirza Ghulam died in the toilet. And that's where he died. And that's documented. On the plane. On board of the plane, he died in the toilet. And you know the prophets are to be buried where? Where they died. The prophets, and the rest of the story is with you now. The prophets had to be buried where? Die. So they cannot die in a toilet. They cannot. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exposed them to us. So may Allah guide them and bring them to the deen, inshallah. Fine. Any question? I'll start with the question of that person who had asked me a question in the middle of it. You still remember it?
Of course, absolutely true.
Very true.
Yes, brother, my question, I've got two questions.
No, one question. Choose one. If you have time, go back to you.
Okay, inshallah. Yeah. Basically, when you're talking about the shoes, when you're praying in a musalla, let's say you're praying like Yawmul Eid, and you've put your shoes in a nice plastic bag, covered it. Can you put it next to you? Or
excellent. Can I put my shoes in a bag and then I put it next to me? If you put your shoes in a plastic bag, you can put it in your right, you can put it in your left, you can put it in your pocket. No problem about that. They are in your bag. They're not going to harm anybody. Once they're in the bag, that means there's no shoes. It's exactly like when you have your mushaf. Okay, that mushaf of yours, you're not allowed to go with it in the toilet, isn't it? But if that mushaf is in your bag, it's not with you. It is not covered. It's not uncovered. It is covered. So you could put it in the bag of yours and go to the toilet. It's no problem. It's the mushaf, by the way, when it's shown. Otherwise, we're going to ask your brother to put your heart outside the toilet because your heart is full of Quran. Can you do that? Put your heart outside. Or you could ask us what to put your mobile, because it's got Quran in it, isn't it? Put it outside, you're going to find it if you come outside. Right, does that answer your question? Jazakallah. Fine. Any other question from here? Further.
If I have to pray in my lounge, do I still have to put a sutra on?
If you're praying in your lounge, where do you put your sutra? The wall could be a sutra. The chair could be a sutra. The sofa could be a sutra. If you want to pray towards somebody, please make sure that he's going to stay there and take his permission. Companion used to say to somebody, Adir li dhahrak, give me your back. Because the Prophet ﷺ told us, do not pray behind al-mutahaddith and also the sleeping. Don't pray behind somebody sleeping. Why behind somebody sleeping? Because he might roll towards you. He might move. He's sleeping. And number two, the one who is mutahaddith, the one who talks. If you're going to pray behind somebody's talking, you're going to be listening to him while you're praying. So talking is not just a human being. Could be talking TV, talking radio. Anything that talks takes you away from the prayer. So you say to the person, Adir li dhahrak, give me your back. So when the person finishes his obligatory and he wants to pray his sunnah, and the sunnah to pray sunnah at home, don't automatically, hey brother, just stand up and pray behind somebody. Because that person, when he sees you praying behind, he's going to be embarrassed to move. And God knows how much you're going to take in your prayer, and he needs to go. So take his permission. Some people just stands up, Allahu Akbar. Yeah, the person in front of you. So even the person in front of the person, if he sees somebody praying behind him, I would say, if he can, sit. But he doesn't have to sit. Unless he gave a word, yes, I will sit for you until you finish. But it's better for him to sit and help that brother to finish his prayer. After the meeting, tell brother, why you took me as a sutra? You know that maybe I've got something to do. You make me just stuck until you finish your prayer. So please take your time when you take your prayer. Pray at home. If you pray in the masjid, pray to a post, mashallah, towards the wall, or towards a person who you take in his permission. Now, and that's why the Sahaba, whenever the prayer is finished, for example, they want to pray in the masjid, they would يَبْتَدِرُونَ السَّوَارِ. They will go to the pillars and pray towards them. Now,
what is the boundary of the where we can put sutra or where somebody cannot cross? For example, one came from to the masjid now, praying right at the back on the wall, and another person come walking. Where is it that the boundary should be in terms of walking in front of the person or not? For example, brother is praying here, I'm walking here.
Yeah.
So
if the person is not taking a sutra, you say?
Yeah, exactly.
He's not taking a sutra. That's what you say, you should say. So a person taking a sutra, how can I pass in front of him? He's not taking a sutra. Keep away from his prostration place. So his prostration, so imagine about 1.5 meters, keep away from that and go, inshallah. But the thing is still that person, he is being, number one, sinned for not taking a sutra, taking up. Number two, he is jeopardizing his prayer if somebody had passed between him and his prostration place. Now, you cannot, for example, if somebody plays at the back of the masjid, we can't say up to the wall here is sutra, nobody can pass in front of it. Just take away from yourself, away from the prostration spot. Now, if you have no question, Fadlan, my little boy, I need to finish my half watch.
What happens if you're like, you realize you haven't got wudu, and like everyone else is in the middle of a prayer, like Eid prayer, but you can't get out, like everyone's already like in.
So you're pressing, you have no wudu, or you broke your wudu while you're praying, and you are in the middle of the jama'ah. So what's the question now?
Like, what do? Do you just walk in front of them?
Yes, you walk in front of them. That's why we said that they don't need sutra. You walk in between them. You could jump over them if you wish. Let's go for the sisters, please.
Because question from the sisters. How much reward will you get if you pray half of your prayer sitting down and small portion standing up? How much reward will you get?
We're going to be working in maths now. 50-50. Once you sit down is half of the prayer, regardless of what you have done in the prayer. Stood up in the middle, and then you continue standing up. Once you sit down, half of the prayer. Okay? But you may take extra reward because you want to implement the sunnah of the Prophet. Sometimes he prays this way. Sometimes he prays sitting down, sometimes he combines between sitting and standing up. Now,
are there any material?
By the way, but there is no such thing that the Prophet of Allah, he prayed standing up. There was no narration where he started standing up, and before he made ruku', the last portion of his qira'ah, he went sitting down, and he recited sitting down, and then continued the ruku' sitting down. There was no such thing. It's the opposite. He started sitting up, and the last portion of the recitation stood up. Do you understand me? There's no such hadith where he prayed standing up, and then before he finished his recitation, sat down, continued his recitation, and made ruku'. But is it possible? It is possible, but it hasn't been happening from the Prophet. Let's say the person got tired, and he wants to sit down. No problem, you can sit down. So that one is allowed, even though the Prophet did not do it. Now, combining between standing up and sitting down.
Maybe another question on the same one. If Salat Tarawih, for example, for those who are praying behind the Imam and they are tired, they can sit down,
yes,
and then they can stand up.
That's why I said this. I meant this because of Tarawih prayer.
Okay.
So the person behind the Imam is now, MashaAllah, he likes to recite Baqarah tonight. You started up, MashaAllah, full of power, and your power is going down and down, and your legs is aching. Sit down, no problem. Sit down and make ruku' what? Sitting down. can I sit down and then if I feel myself want to stand up? Yes, you can. So you started standing up. You felt tired, sat down. You felt mashallah strong, you want to stand up. No problem. A voluntary prayer, you can do what you like. As long as you pray. Is that alright? Inshallah. Problem.
Are there any materials that we cannot wear, i.e. in shoes and clothes when praying in salah? Are there any materials which you are not allowed to wear when you pray?
Any material which is not allowed to be worn. Well, the material, in terms of material wise, well, the men are not allowed to put silk, is that what she wants? Silk is not allowed for men. They're not allowed to put for silk. Shoes, for the shoes? Just for the shoes, the question?
Shoes and clothes.
Shoes and clothes. As for the shoes, okay, the clothes in terms of material wise, the silk is haram for the men. In terms of the clothes, shape wise, so that we talk about now material wise, shape wise, then should not be tight or see through. In terms of pattern wise, they're not supposed to have any pattern that takes the persons away from their prayer, concentration. In terms of drawing wise, they're not supposed to have any pictures or take images of the head of something like a human being or an animal. In terms of the things used to do with, for example, the shoes which are made of leather, like let's say skin of the crocodile, skin of the dog, skin of the pigs, no problem, akhi, as long as that leather shoes is being tanned, regardless of what is being pig shoes or dog shoes or whatever. As long as the skin is tanned, so the skin is now does not carry the same filth as of the original skin of the pig. Okay? Now,
what if our shoes are not allowing us to sit in a sunnah way?
that's a good question. That's why I said if you don't feel comfortable with your shoes, and they don't allow you to sit in a comfortable way, and the sisters here, they're asking this question, I can't imagine that question except if that shoes was with this high heels. Do you understand me? That would poke the person. Yes? Now that high heel, I should tell the sister, they're not allowed anyway. It's not to do with now praying. It's to do with wearing them. Wearing these shoes, haram. Number one, gives you the wrong height, so people think that you're tall. Number two, bad for your health. Affects your back and everything. Number three, imitation and emulation of the kuffar. Those shoes. Number four, they give a sound, tak, tak, tak. Like those women in the Jahiliyyah used to put the bangles on their foot. Yubdina ma yukhfin. They want to show what they have hiding from the beauty. So as soon as you tak, 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 you know there's what? There's a woman approaching. That's when the male heart will boom, boom. There's a woman. Tak, tak, tak. He knows. So it's supposed to be no tak, 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 no shoes that makes the tapping. And it's supposed to be low heel, no heels, just normal. Those high. That's why I just said, if those shoes that they meant to be like the high heels, haram for the sisters to put on. And I'm conveying what the scholars have said. Now, problem.
One announcement with Gary. These cars, please, the brother want to move your cars because one of brother has got emergency, need to go. FB56YCY LROH 0HNYY MW56BRF FP05MBW. Can you go and move your cars as soon as possible? Brother has got an emergency, so if you can go and move the cars for him, please. Jazakallah khair.
Fine. Jazakallah khair. We're going to finish. I said I'm really sorry to take a long time. Supposed to finish a long time before this, but I was carried away with this. I have to finish the sutra now.
Sometimes I need to pray outside. Is it okay for me to do this, even if sometimes non-mahrams may be able to see me? This is a sister.
Do this what? To pray them?
Outside, when other people are seeing praying for the woman.
The women, they're supposed to be praying in a way that they are not exposing their back to any male. Their backside, they're not supposed to have any male behind them. Okay? Now, if they cannot they could cover the back and they cannot cover the front, then they don't have time except to pray in that place. I would say, number one, sister, before you have left, you should have prepared yourself because you're a sister. And if you cannot pray at home, you find a place to pray, then think about combining Dhuhr and Asr or Maghrib and Isha, because you are going to a place, especially in the winter. So for the sisters, your combination excuses is much more wider than the excuses for the male. Better for you to prepare your journey instead of, because it's very difficult for the sister to pray in such a place. So if it doesn't matter if you have a mahram or not, but if you had sisters with you, they could cover you. So you could really pray. So you could pray and they are in front of you, so nobody would come beside you or next to you. But the most important thing for your prayer to be valid is not to be a male behind you. Now,
what is the dress code for a female when praying in Salah? A dress code.
a dress code.
Do I have to cover my feet in Salah? From the sisters one.
The dress code for the prayer for the women, you have to look at the book of the Shaykh Al-Albaani, Jilbab al-Mar'a al-Muslim, in which he had talked about this issue in thoroughly. The women's clothes in terms of prayer, they're supposed to be not a see-through, nor they're supposed to be tight. Those clothes for the prayer, they should cover the women from head to toe. The face is not to be covered, nor the hands. As for the feet, the top of your feet to be covered. The back of your feet, no problem to show. In the presence of no non-mahrams is not allowed. So if it is a mahram or women, no problem to show the back of your feet. But there's a strange people, you're not allowed to show anything. So in the prayer you're required to cover the top of your feet. You understand me? So if you prostrated and the bottom of your feet showed, no problem in the prayer. But make sure that with that showed, that there is no strange people out there to look, because your back of the bottom of your feet still awra. But awra for the male strangers, but it's not awra in the salah. Okay? So the woman's awra for the salah, if she's praying with the presence of maharim or presence of women or in her own, that is to cover all herself, except for the bottom part of her feet. If she makes prostration to show that, is no problem. Now,
and the last question, can you do wudu over your socks and hijab?
can you make wudu over the socks? You can make masih. Can you make masih, wiping over the socks? Of course you can make the socks, but you have to have now the fiqh of wiping over the socks. The socks, first of all, has to cover the portion where you wash your feet, and you have to make sure that you have put them when you have finished your wudu, and that is 24 hours for the resident, 3 days, 72 hours for the traveler, from the time that you will wipe over the sock or over the shoe. And the same thing as to do with the wiping of the scarf. It doesn't have to be this wiping over the scarf, it doesn't have to be over a wiping over the head. So you could wipe over the scarf, is no problem, inshallah. And by the way, taking off your sock that you wiped over it, or taking off your scarf that you have wiped over it, it doesn't mean you have invalidated your wudu. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. And I think
And there's one from one of the students' boys here. I think I have to give a privilege. His question is the basmala in salah. Is it recited out loud or?
basmala in the salah in the loud recitation, which means the first 2 rak'ah of Maghrib, the first 2 rak'ah of the Isha, and the 2 rak'ah of the Fajr. Do they pray, recite it loudly? Is that the question?
Yeah.
Recite it loudly or silently? The basmala, which is Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. The Prophet ﷺ, according to the companion, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, Abu Hurairah, and all his companions, except for one narration, that is the Prophet of Allah. I prayed behind him, and behind Abu Bakr, and behind Umar, behind Uthman, behind all his companions. They always start with Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, وَلَا يَجْهَرُونَ بِبِسْمِ اللَّهِ الرَّحْمَنِ الرَّحِيمِ. Do not recite Bismillah loud. But if the Imam, according to Al-Qayyim Rahmatullah, had said the Basmala once in a while, to make sure that these people know that the Basmala is an ayah from the Fatiha, then it's no problem to show them, to teach them. You understand me? So if sometimes the Imam had made Jahar of the Basmala in order to teach the people, because some of the people, they think the Fatiha started with Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, but the Fatiha started what? Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Ayah. So if you start with Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim loudly for that sake of teaching, it's no problem, but the Sunnah is always to be with silent. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam. And I think a veto?
No veto, no veto. Yeah, sorry to ask. Can you I don't know if I missed it. Can you emphasize a bit more about the three things? You explained the dog and the donkey, but I don't know whether my understanding maybe was short about the woman. If you don't mind.
Before you have asked me about the women, I would like to ask for next month's class, because you're going to have the hour going forward. Okay? So I need to know, when do we need to start? Is it the same time? 7:30, 7:15, 7 o'clock? So you tell me please, and you announce that for me as well, and later on inshallah. Is that alright?
Yes,
so for the brothers as well, to make sure that when do we start next time? As for the question regarding who is going to invalidate your prayer when they cross in front of you, I said to you, if you've taken sutra, don't worry, regardless of where they pass. They haven't taken a sutra. If they pass between yourself and the prostration spot, the following three things: the donkey, you understand the donkey? The black dog, you understand the black dog? The women who are adult women, so about 13, 14, they're adult, they menstruate. Not the women with their menses, that means if they've got no menses, no problem. Those people, they pass in front of you, your prayer, that means we cross from right to left, from left to right, in front of you. Then they have invalidated your prayer to start from the beginning. Is that understood? What's the reason? Okay, let's just first of all get this straight. When there is something to do with ibadah, the person as a believer should never ask why. We are people, سمعنا وأطعنا. Do we ask why is it 4 rak'ah dhuhr and 3 rak'ah for maghrib and 2 rak'ah for fajr? Why do we ask? We say سمعا وطاعة, سمعنا وأطعنا. Okay, we ask Allah's forgiveness. But you could rephrase the question. Is there any hikmah that it is not evidence? Evidence, we've got the evidence.
Wisdom.
Evidence, we've got the evidence. Is there any hikmah which that there is a hikmah, of course, but that the scholars had found, which is apparent hikmah regarding this issue? No, this is a mere ta'abbudi matter. Because in Islam there are things which is ta'abbudi and things which are common sense. Ta'abbudi means like 4 rak'ah dhuhr. Ta'abbudi, there's no common sense about it. 4 rak'ah, surrender. Common sense, like hijab of the women. Why hijab of the women? To hide her beauty. Common sense. This one, women passing, is ta'abbudi. We don't know. As for the dog, we understood. Why is it? Shaytan. Okay? The donkey, Allahu A'lam, and the woman. But you could say, some of the scholars, they said like this following. إذا خرجت المرأة استشرفها الشيطان. When the woman comes out, Shaytan opens his eyes. Why? He wants to drag people through her. The donkey, when he prays, he sees the what? Shaytan. The black dog, Shaytan himself. But the women, they're not Shaytan actually. But the women, when they come out, the Shaytan make sure that he will tempt other people through her. So the Prophet of Allah ﷺ, he said, اتقوا النساء, O people, الدنيا حلوة. So the dunya is beautiful. So be careful of it, and be careful of the what? The women. For verily فإن أول فتنة بني إسرائيل كانت في first fitna that struck the people of Israel is from the women.
Is that woman including your mom and say woman, but is it including
what?
That's why you say woman. It's not including your relative, like your mom and your wife.
No, it means be careful of the women that will, even the mother will break off your prayer. But I'm just saying, when you fear the women, that means the women that will tempt you to make fornication. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب
جزاكم الله خير الحمد لله بارك الله فيكم. Just to let you know, our next dance will be on the 29th of March. 29th of March. 29th of March. Salatul Maghrib will be about 6:30. So we start 7 o'clock, inshallah, is normal. And then Salatul Isha will be about 8. So we start straight after Salatul Maghrib on 29th of March. Jazakumullah khair, barakallahu feekum, subhanallah wa bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, nastaghfiruka wa natubu.